Okay, for right now, what we are going to do is some problem solving. When we are doing this problem solving, it's going to be like we always do. When you come up with your problem solving ideas, when you're doing your problem solving, what do you need to do with the problem first? Do you remember our little song? Read the problem at least twice. Circle the question, oh so nice. Okay, that's our first thing. Read the problem at least twice. And then we're going to circle that question so we know the information that we're looking for. And then what we talked about yesterday is when you solve problems, there are lots of different ways to solve problems. And we talked about you can use words. Pictures. I knew that would get you started. Pictures. Numbers.
Mental math.
Hang on a second. Numbers. Symbols. Now let's go to what Austin said. Would you say that again, Austin? Mental math. What's my deal with mental math? What's my problem with it? You have to show it. That's awesome if you can think it in your head, but since I am not a very good mind reader, I need to see what you were thinking. So you can be thinking, oh, well, I know that 5 plus 5 is 10, so I know that 50 plus 50 is 100. But if you're just thinking that in your head and all you write is 100, do I understand how you got there? No. So mental math is fine, but to show your work, you need to show me what you were thinking. And we talked about how you can use thought bubbles or any of these things to show me your mental math. Clay? Word form, you could, when we're doing big mathematical equations, would you want to write out the number 352 in word form? No. Probably not. So we're going to find the quickest, most reliable source. Is it okay if I choose a different way than Lacey?
Yes.
Yes. We just have to be able to explain that. So everyone sit up straight and tall. When Jenna starts out in the story, what is her problem? She doesn't have any jingles. Okay, now as we read, Jenna needs 4 rows of jingles. Is that right? And as we read, it counts back. Do you remember? So it says now Jenna only needed 3 rows. Now she only needed 2. Then at last she needed 1. And finally, she had all the jingles she needed. So that in itself is a math problem, right? So we made up an imaginary problem, or maybe not. I don't know how many jingles Jenna needed. But instead of counting the rows today, Mac, we're going to count the actual jingles on her dress. So as we get these passed out, all right, so here we have our problem. Okay, notice where it says my way. Point to where it says my way. Put your name right there so I know whose paper this is. Right here. There you go. Wherever. Okay, now the first step in problem solving is to read the problem at least twice. Circle the question, oh so nice. So everyone put your finger on the problem. And we're going to read it together. At least how many times? 2. All right. Jenna needs 100 jingles for her dress for the powwow. When she visits Mrs. Scott, she has collected 36 jingles. Next, she visits her cousin and gets 12 more jingles. Finally, she visits her grandma and gets the rest of her jingles. How many jingles did her grandma give her? Use pictures, numbers, and/or words to solve, just like we talked about. So we read it one time. Look for the question mark. Do you see the question mark?
Yes.
Okay, then do you know the question?
Yes.
What is the question?
How many jingles did Grandma give her?
Would you circle that sentence? How many jingles did her grandma give her? I like to circle the question so I know the information that I'm looking for.
Students work independently, encouraged to use an efficient strategy that makes sense to them. Allowing students time to wrestle with a problem is important in developing perseverance and strategies for solving.
Okay. I hear a lot of, is it adding or subtracting? Well, could it be either? Okay, we're finding out the unknown. Do we need some guidance on this lesson?
Pair-share strategy allows all students an opportunity to communicate and share their way of solving. Justifying and explaining helps students make sense of the math. Listening and recording their partner's way of solving provides them with additional strategies and connections.
I would like you and your partner to share the different ways that you solved. Explain the different ways, and then Alexa says we already did that. That's great. You have a spot here that says my partner's way. Okay, so once you kind of understand what your partner was doing, I want you to try and do that on your own, but using your partner's way instead of yours. And then we'll talk about the ways that they were the same and the ways that they were different.
Using rich literature such as Jingle Dancer to provide the context for solving problems is powerful. Students have already engaged in the vocabulary and background knowledge for story. This helps them visualize and step into problems they are solving. In the future, consider using other rich literature for the context of the math students are doing. Then, allow opportunities for students to persevere with the problems, collaborate, and communicate their way of solving.